Hi, this is Dave Gottlieb from Death or Glory Artist Management, manager of the Hold Steady, and you are listening to the only podcast I listen to, the Hood Rat Recap Podcast.
Let's get on with the business.
We got bored. So we started a podcast about the best bar band in the land, man. This is the Hood Rat Recap, and we are back. We're your steady stream of the unified scene of the news and reviews of the band that you love, we love, and we went there on business. Hello, everybody. This is Stage Right Mike on the mic, and I can talk hold steady all night. And when I like to talk hold steady heavy, I throw up the rat signal. And just like that, the Hood Rat Pack has assembled. Hark! That can only be the unified scene's very own King of Queens, and he loves when we give him the business. It's Gasper. Gasper, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Mike, but you know what? I've been trying to get people to call me the entrepreneur.
Why is that, Gasper?
Because I'm a visionary turning ideas into empires.
Ooh, how's that working out for you?
Not so good, man. Not so good. People keep calling me the Ponzi scheme. If Kevin doesn't even have a response.
I don't even know what to say. Like, my brain right away said, I wish you would end up in prison like Bernie Madoff, because really that's awful. I mean, it's awful. The entrepreneur and a Ponzi scheme. I'm sorry, people. I really, like, I know it's been a minute since we've done a show and you guys were excited, and literally the wind is out of the sail. So.
And that's the sound of our third mic and our producer, Kevin is whenever. Kevin, how you doing?
I mean, I was having a great day right up until that. You ever like trip when you're walking down the street and you just don't know what happens if you fall? That was what happened to my day after that, Freddie Knuckles. Just like, I fell. I can't get up. I need a life alert. That's what just happened. But sorry to people in listener land, but we're going to make up for it. I promise you we'll make up for it. So please don't tune out. I know you want to, because I would have turned us off by now, but hang with us because we got a great episode. It's been a great couple of weeks for us at the podcast, which we'll get into. But I know, Gasper, we forgot to mention a few people on our last episode that we really wanted to talk, a band that you had checked out and talked to. So why don't you tune in and let everybody know about that?
Yeah, man. So one of the things I forgot to talk about in the Philly Flashcast was the Tisburys opened on the final night at the Philly shows for the Hold Steady. And we really want to just point out, like, check these guys out if you don't know who they are. I didn't know who they were. They have a new album out since April of this year on Helix Records, and they're really good. I mean, think like Tisburys, that kind of sound. They've been around for a long time. They're another like 20-year-old band. And you can check them out at the Tisburys.com, and we're going to put that link in the show notes. Just in other news that I wanted to, a little housekeeping before we get into our show. There's a Craig Finn show coming up for the guys on the East Coast in Staten Island, New York. I'll be going to that one on August 3rd. He'll be playing Hamilton Park Houses, which basically is like another house show, very similar to like Club 603. If you want to check that out, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Nice intimate show. Tickets are $30, and you can find that at HamiltonParkHouseConcerts.com, which we'll link in the show notes. You could also email Ray Heff at rayheff@mac.com or call 718-815-0815. Also wanted to point out Mike and I joined up on the Michael and Jeremy Steal Your podcast, which was a lot of fun. Want to thank those guys. We're going to link to their show in the show notes. And here's a little more information about Michael and Jeremy.
Why are you always making me climb in the smallest of places?
Well, this is the best way to get to the podcast that we need to steal this week.
It's always
like we do every week on Mondays.
Mondays, every Monday.
Yeah, religiously.
Sometimes I wish we could just walk through the door, but yeah, every Monday on where do they find it?
On Spotify, Apple, anywhere that you can find podcasts. That's
Sorry,
where
dude,
we are.
I get so hot in these vents. I think they have the heater on.
Wait, oh, Jeremy, don't move. Oh, wait. Michael and Jeremy Steal Your Podcast every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts and stuff.
We're going to take your podcast and we're going to do it
Better,
faster,
stronger,
hornier.
Yes.
In an hour.
Or more. Sometimes.
Oh man, that was fun. I'm sorry I didn't have to get robbed like you guys did from stealing the podcast just because.
Those guys were pretty cool. I think we would have fun with them.
I know.
Yeah, the great sense of humor. It made me think maybe we should start putting a sense of humor into our podcast. What do you guys think?
What, the Freddie Knuckles aren't funny?
Are you saying I'm not comedic? I thought that was my whole job, was to be lighthearted and bring brevity and joy to our listeners. And now you guys are downplaying my role. I quit.
Guys, we got to get on with the business on this show. We got Dave Gottlieb from Death or Glory. He's the manager of the Hold Steady, and he brought along a little Hold Steady friend today, Steve Selvidge, who's our returning champion. He's been on before, and he's coming back. And this interview is just, we learned so much, and probably the most we've learned in an interview to date yet.
Yeah, man. We got some announcements too.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. I hope everybody enjoys it, because I really, people know I work in music, and I really enjoy talking to them because they're very clear on their plans for the business, as they refer to and as we talked about, and also just how the band gets along. I mean, it was very insightful. I think we should get into it.
Yeah, man. Let's get on with the business.
Let's do it.
Let's get on with the business. Pledge of allegiance, war of attrition. So many choices, decisions. Said a couple of things that probably weren't technically true. Conventional wisdom says we should probably cruise.
All right, want to welcome back Steve Selvidge to the show, and welcome Dave Gottlieb to the show. This is your first time with us, so thanks you guys so much for coming on.
Yep.
And before we start, Steve, happy birthday. You just celebrated a birthday yesterday, right?
Yesterday, yep.
Awesome. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Did you get a new guitar for your birthday?
No.
Air Jordans?
My mother-in-law's, no Jordans. My mother-in-law just about 20 minutes ago dropped off 2 New York strips.
Whoa.
Nice.
That's better. Yeah.
So, yeah. And then my brother came over with a vinyl copy of Low, David Bowie album.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we're just coming off the heels of the Philly show. Awesome weekend. Steve, during the sound check, I just wanted to follow up on one of the questions you guys had answered. You spoke specifically about Grand Junction and the guitar solo, where it was suggested to you to play it backwards. That's the first time I ever heard that.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because that was pretty incredible.
Well, the part's kind of open-ended. It's like it kind of goes out of meter for a while, sort of free rhythmically, and there's no real chord changes or anything. So Josh Kaufman was just like, I didn't play something planned out backwards. He was just like, make it sound like it's being played backwards.
Gotcha.
Like they reversed the tape or whatever. So I was like, okay. But I guess I pulled it off. I don't know.
Absolutely. So one of the things we wanted to talk to you about in general was the business of the business of the Hold Steady. Off the bat, the residencies are such a brilliant business model. Like, can you guys talk a little bit about how that came about and how you brought it into fruition?
Sure. So, I'm going to start this with a quote that is said often by our fearless leader in the Hold Steady, Craig Finn, which is, the business of rock and roll is not very rock and roll. And it could not be more truthful now in 2025 than 10 years ago, 10 years before that, going back. The business now is truly business. Whereas when I first started at record labels in 1989, business was conducted differently on a lot of levels. So one thing that I've constantly looked at as I became a manager and moved into, the real nuts and bolts of live touring and performance is that, a model that was created in the 60s and 70s and 80s may not be relevant now, and it may not be useful now, and it may not be conducive for creativity for any number of different generations of artists. And, for the Hold Steady 20, starting when Franz first left the band during Stay Positive, and then the iterations since, there were questionable financial decisions by the Hold Steady prior to my joining. And, when I joined and we went through a cycle and a half on a record being Teeth Dreams to kind of see what some of those decisions had created financially for the band from an extension, it was like, okay, we got to come up with a better way to do this for a number of reasons. So the kind of first tip off was at the end of 2014. Our friends at the Horseshoe in Toronto came and said, we're having Steve, was it their 70th birthday party or 75th?
I think it was 70th, I think, or 70th or 80th. I mean, it was crazy.
And we love Amy and the whole Collective Concerts team that own the legendary Horseshoe in Toronto. And they were like, you're our favorite band. We want you to come up. And they delivered this 4-night, proposal. And we came up with some small bells and whistles for it. And the guys went up and did it. I was not there because I had something else going on and I couldn't be there. And everybody walked out of it after 2014 was a very rough year for the band on a lot of levels. We put out a record starting with Teeth Dreams, and literally the day we were mastering the record, our A&R guy and head of marketing who had brought us into that label left. One left, one got fired. So, and things just kept going from there. Steve's son Stevie was born that year, and Stevie was incredibly premature, and Steve had to battle with things. And Steve, if I remember correctly, you missed a show or two.
I missed a week of shows.
Missed a week.
Oh wow!
We had other things that happened that year that we still now we laugh about, but we weren't necessarily always laughing about then.
Right.
Yeah, and when things are rough, things can get rough. When things get rough, and you're on a metal tube altogether, it gets even easier to be dark.
Right.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
I think for audiences of any band or musician, you think that, they're best friends. They love hanging out. They love being together. Well, that's not always the case. I mean, whether you're thinking back to when you went away to summer camp and it's like, okay, I only liked half the kids in my cabin. Not all 12. There's so many dynamics. And as people age and get older, it's like, hey, there's certain things in life that, you're not dealing with on a daily basis. And,
Sure.
Whether that's timing out when you're going to the bathroom or when you're sleeping. And as Steve said, living in a metal tube, like sleeping on a bus, man, there's a reason that a lot of artists enjoy alcohol when they're on the road.
Right.
Sometimes that is the only way to fall asleep on a tour bus.
Right.
You'll see a lot of interviews with bands too, especially ones that have been around as long as the Hold Steady or whatever, and they ask like, what's the secret? And the secret is being with people that you can get along with, because what you're saying, Dave, is so true. As I work with a ton of bands and like with longevity, and you realize it is almost an art form. Being good at your instrument is probably not even as important as being good at living with other people, especially like you said, on a bus where space is limited. You can't shit on a bus, like things that like you don't take it like until you're in that world. Like I've ridden buses with bands and I'm like, God, I hope I don't have to go to the bed. Like it's the things that you get lost because they set a 3 a.m. stop, because it's a very weird lifestyle. And for most people, they don't realize how hard it is to do.
Yeah. I mean,
just day to day.
I always tell people, like, look, 25-year-old me would smack me across the mouth for saying this, but like, then I start complaining about being on a tour bus, because the thing is like that's the goal for a musician to get on a tour bus, and then you do, and it's great, and then it's like, oh wait a minute, no, hang on, I'm living like a hobo. Like here I am on a crowded city street trying to get some clothes out of the bay, and I'm walking around trying to find a Starbucks so I can shit. And yeah, it's
not tripping over the shoes in the walkway in the bunk alley where it's just all of these things that you don't realize.
Was this jar of salsa that's in the fridge, was that open the door, or was it open 2 days ago? Like it seems romantic and it feels romantic, and then if we were to look back on 2014, to be honest, here was a record that everybody felt great and excited about, and honestly, we struggled. And when you're struggling as a band and you're playing 5 nights or 6 nights a week, and Tuesday and Wednesday there's a 50% full room, but Friday and Saturday maybe you're at 80 or 100%, it gets mentally challenging for everybody involved.
Right.
Well, and like you can't. It's not like, well, so XYZ happened, and then we were bummed out. It's like there was this sort of pall that was cast, and there wasn't one specific thing. It's just these things kind of come about organically. You can't really put your finger on it. It was just like the vibe was off.
Yeah. And again, I wasn't in Toronto, but everybody reported back that it was a fun weekend. It was good. Even though it was December, it was like everybody had fun in Toronto, and the shows seemed to be good. And so it was kind of a little bit of a shot of B12 after a rough year. We did something in early 2015 for the NBA All-Star game was in Brooklyn, and we did a private there. But that was kind of a one-off that nobody really was overly enthused about. And we just kind of like, okay, we need to rethink everything we're doing. And so in early 2016, I was on the phone with Craig, and he was like, he had just finished a solo cycle, and he was like, we should figure out some Hold Steady stuff for this year. And he goes, it's 10 years of Boys and Girls in America. Let's go see if Riot Fest is interested. Let's go see if there's something else. And at that point, the Brooklyn Bowl had 2 years in a row sent us an offer to do a multi-night thing. And they had started it with Deer Tick, and it was very successful. And I think they had done it with somebody else, and it was very successful. And Craig and I were talking, and I said, I'm going to tell you something. If you're going to do an anniversary play of Boys and Girls in America before you have another record out, and it's 10 years, you need to have Franz back. And he said to me, why? And I said, because I was a fan before I was your manager. And he's all over that record. The level that the piano is in those songs, his contributions on songwriting, he's all over that record. And I said, it's the second thing any fan asks me is, would Franz ever come back? And at that moment, I'd never met Franz, and I would say, I don't know. I've never met Franz. I want him back too, because that's a sound that attracted me to the Hold Steady. And that's not to take away from anything from Mr. Selvidge, who came in to do another thing with the band. And that was what Teeth Dreams was about creating that double guitar attack. And so I was like, Craig, if we're going to go out and we're going to go solicit offers, it's got to be authentic, because I certainly, and I would like to believe that Selvidge would agree, I can't imagine us doing Boys and Girls in 2016 and not having Franz on stage.
Yeah, and for some context, like when I joined the band, it was Franz left. Okay, we got to get a hired gun to play keyboards now. And then that's when Tab was like, let's bring Steve in as another guitar player. We're going to bring in a hired gun. So that happened. And then the situation with the keyboard player didn't work out to such an extent. It didn't work out. Talk about being able to be personalities and whatever. I won't get too much into it. Not a bad guy, but it just didn't work out. I've never been in a situation where somebody wasn't working out this much. And it was so bad where we were just like, okay, well, let's just get rid of the keyboard player and keep Steve. And so then that was however many years of like, in the Mississippi River.
I remember those shows, and I can tell you as a fan what was happening. I was playing those keyboard parts in my head.
Yeah.
And it was still awesome, but it was. I know exactly what you mean.
Fucking stupid is what it was. But so like it never occurred to us to like maybe find somebody else to play keys. We were just like, we don't want to bring anybody else in. Right. So then, and like we took it was open ended in 2015. It wasn't like, hey, we're taking a year off. It was just like, I don't know, So anyway, and then the issue with Franz came back up, and luckily here we are.
In 2015, it was like, we need a breather. And there were so many reasons for it at that moment. So many. And part of it is, the guys were all 40 years old at that point. It's like your life changes. As Steve said, you're not 22 and on a tour bus. There's lots of different things going on for everybody. And it was better to just hit the pause button and to go back into to release that pause button with, the idea of festivals and everything else. And once Craig came back and said, Franz is up for it, I was like, great. We should also go look at the Brooklyn Bowl offer.
Awesome.
And we did. If I remember correctly, when we announced all those shows, and we started it by posting a picture of every band member. And we did Franz last.
Oh, wow.
And then if I remember correctly, we put the Bowl shows up first. And, we were scared of putting up 3, and they sold out in less than an hour. We're adding a 4th. I was like, okay. And we had Hold Steady had never done a show at the Brooklyn Bowl, but that was the creation of it. And then after that first year, we all walked away going, wow, this could really be something. And I think when the next point that it kind of validated the idea of a residency was not like in January of 2017, the people who run the Empty Bottle hit us up, and I have the book here somewhere. They were hitting their 25-year anniversary. And they were like, we love the Hold Steady. We want the Hold Steady. Even though at that point, I don't believe the Hold Steady had ever played the Empty Bottle.
Wow. We kind of leapfrogged it.
Yeah. And they're like, we're doing anniversary shows all year. We want the Hold Steady. And I was like, I would love that, but we're not getting on a tour bus and driving to Chicago to lose money. I'm like, we want to help you guys out. And we had this back and forth. And then I finally said, here's what we just did in New York. And they turned around and they said, fine, we'll make it a weekend. We'll do a big show at the Bottle as one of them, but we can do these 2 shows and they gave us like 2 or 3 venues to pick from. And we did 2 shows at Thalia Hall. And the Empty Bottle was the 3rd show. And it was the summer, and it was hot as fuck. I guess I can swear here because Kevin swore before.
Of course.
And
what'd you like?
The AC went out.
Yeah, there was a stage invasion, but we did other stuff too. We did a big Q&A that I think the AV Club filmed, talking. I don't remember if it was a Boys and Girls Talk, but it was something. We did a couple of fan experiences, and everything went really well. I know we did the sound check party at Brooklyn Bowl. I think we did 2 of those, and those have gone well. Mm-hmm. And then we did it again in Chicago, and we all kind of walked away from that weekend. I remember the Sunday being in a car going to the airport and being on the phone with Craig, who was getting into the van with the band to go to the airport. Boy, this was great. Everybody felt great after Chicago. Like that was really the one that told us, okay, what are we doing right here? People had flown in from all over the place, and the vibes were just great. And I said to Craig, I go, we should do this every year, every summer. We should pick 4 cities, 1 in each time zone. And it should be like the NCAA basketball tournament, and we move the sites around every year. But do 1 in each time zone, and we call it Constructive Summer. And Craig was like, boom, 100%. Let's do it. Yeah. And to Steve and Franz's credit, they immediately got along. not just personally, but musically. Like they were able to figure out how each one could exist and coexist and create new things within a breadth of songs that already existed. And so that made it easy, and it made things more creative, and it made things a lot better. And suddenly on the business side, we're doubling what we're walking away with. Instead of 20% ROI, we're making 40% ROI.
Wow.
And that's significant.
Right.
And we're not spending at the time $10,000 a week on a tour bus.
Right.
Yeah,
Which-
and playing in El Paso, Texas to pay for it.
Yes. going to Omaha on Tuesday night and only selling 175 tickets so that we can sell 1,000 in Chicago on Saturday. That makes sense in the business model when you're 22 and starting out and you got to get from point A to point B, but maybe it doesn't make as much sense. And maybe it's actually cheaper. Is it cheaper to spend $10,000 on a tour bus and try to play a bunch of shows? Or is it a better economic structure to say, okay, we can fly 9 people to Chicago, put them up in hotel rooms, and that's less than $10,000? Well,
Yeah.
which one? Oh, let's pick that door.
I have a really clear memory in 2014, Dave, of you being like, conservatively, you guys are a Thursday to Sunday crowd. And that I was like, you're right. I gazed upon the age of most of the people in front of me, and I was like, yeah. These people are not. I'm not. I know that I'm not going out on a Tuesday night. So why should I expect them to?
Right.
And I was just wondering, like, can you guys see the stats? Like, I was wondering, like, can you see how many people buy like single night tickets and how many people buy the whole weekend? And if so, is there like any surprises in those numbers at all?
We can see that, the way the multi-night pass works, because we eat the ticketing fees. Like the reason we're able to sell a 3-day pass at the actual face value of the ticket is because we absorb the ticketing fees. For the first couple of years, I got the promoters to do it, and then post-COVID, forget it. That's so we have a limited number of 3-day passes. Those always sell out in the pre-sale. It doesn't mean that there aren't other people who buy individual 3-day tickets. That does happen. That's probably a small percentage. We absolutely look at the stats. The one that we're always most curious about is what's the percentage of people that are from outside the market we're playing. So if we're in like we did Portland a couple of years ago, how many people flew into Portland or came down from Seattle? And, it's pretty consistent every weekend that it's between about 20% and 35% come from outside the market. And that's significant. And that means that we built something with the weekend mentality and the community and the social aspect of it all.
Right. So one of the things that you bring up there is the fan experiences. You guys do that better than anyone I've ever seen. Like there's so much access to the band. It's really impressive. Can you talk a little bit about how those come together? Like the pub quiz, the storyteller shows, the scavenger hunt, like it's all unique ideas and it really makes the weekend super special. Like what is that like for you guys?
Steve, you want to answer on your side and then I'll say how we even got there?
I mean, obviously, like, with the sound check parties, we try and find a good moderator just to kind of keep everything running smoothly, and avoid the "when are you coming to Omaha" questions. and then like it's just we just, I don't know if allow's right. We just make ourselves available, I mean, look, there's the concept of the monetary aspect of it. I mean, let's be honest, like it's just the more money we can make, the more that we can allow us to do these things,
Right.
and then I think that makes a better experience for the fans and stuff. And then, I mean, and like personally, like the pub quiz is my favorite thing of these weekends. I love it. Like
Agreed.
It's just so much fun. So, I mean, it's just all good stuff to do.
I think there's a couple of elements to it. One, we have a band that likes doing it, and engages with their fans. And there is a unique bond that is kind of hard to explain. And maybe it's because the guys don't live in mansions on hills. And so there's that connection to it. I remember that when the band hired me to manage, I had a meeting with Craig and Tad a couple of days later, and we were talking, and they were about to leave, and they turned to me and they said, one thing we want to point out is that we have a unique relationship with our fans. And I'm like, yeah, of course. And he's like, no. Like, there really isn't a fence that separates us. Like, our fans are high maintenance on some level, and you're going to have to deal with that. And we want a manager who is super serving. And I learned it very quickly. And from my standpoint, when you're actually experiencing it, when you're experiencing it with fans who are good people and not stalkers or demanding, or they're just like, hey, I wanted this. Is it possible? It's like, yeah, we can figure that out. For the fan, they think they're asking for a high lift or a heavy lift, and it's really not. It's a low lift. And I know that if we take care of them with that low lift, it's going to come back in spades. And to be fair, Steve said the monetary aspect of it is helpful. I mean, I'll be blunt. If we didn't do the sound check event every weekend, I don't know if the guys could have single hotel rooms every weekend. But you know what? That's actually incredibly important to me, because why should guys in their who are 50 years old, why should they be sharing a hotel room with another dude?
Right.
And if we go back to 2014, it's like, all the guys were in their 40s. Everybody was dealing with some crazy shit. Craig's mom's passing away. Steve with the issues with Stevie.
Hey, my dad passed as well.
That's right.
While we were making teaching. Yeah.
Right. It's like there's, solitude is a good thing. It's not like, and again, get on a tour bus. It's like, all right, do I really want to spend the next, we have an off day. Do I want to spend the next 36 hours in a fucking hotel room with you? I realize that music, rock music especially, creates a gang mentality, and that you're all best friends. Peel back the layer of the onion. It's not necessarily true.
Well, and I will say one thing about the Hold Steady as a band too. They're a band that operates differently than most bands touring, because you guys change set lists every night. You make yourself accessible where, like you said, the money is good, but a lot of times those things are premiums and they're kind of cattle driven. Like if you go to a VIP at most arena rock shows, it's very to the minute. Like it's very set. And I always find like you go to a Hold Steady show and it's kind of like whatever the band feels. And I think as a fan and as somebody who's there experiencing it, like that's important. And going to a show on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday is easy when I know I'm not going to see the same set every night. Yet certain bands, doesn't matter where they're playing. It's the same show. It's got to open the same. It's got to have the same pre-encore break. The encore's got to be the same and the end's got to be done. And, now with the way the internet is and social media, like you can see basically a whole show on your phone and never have to leave your house. And I know people that do that. And thankfully, all of these other things that the Hold Steady has is great. I'm waiting for the Hold Steady to have a cruise. That's my throw. The minute you put the Hold Steady on a Norwegian cruise line and we can hang for 5 days drinking on a boat, I'm there. Because I
just got off one. I just got off the fucking Little Stevens Underground Garage cruise. I played that with Bash and Pop.
Did you like it? Because that's a 6-man boat, and they do an interesting job, I think, of how they organize their stuff. So
yeah. I didn't know anything. I've never done it before, so I was expecting the worst, and but it was actually really comfortable, and it was fine. I mean, I didn't want to eat at a buffet for the next couple of weeks afterwards. But,
that's true. But there are a lot of restaurants on the boat too that you could get into too if you wanted to, like where you don't have to pay a premium either. They're nice, but you do find yourself at the buffet or like stopping at the soft serve kind of as you walk by the doorway. Stop.
But yeah, what do you think about David's Hold Steady cruise? How do you think that would look?
Massive nights at sea.
It could be dangerous. It could be like 1,100 people went on the cruise, 998 came back. Or something like Jaws.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys are so negative.
To your point, I'm sure if we were to look at Setlist FM and see what the Hold Steady set lists were in 2014, I'm sure there was not much variance. I'm sure there were maybe 30 to 35 different songs at most that got played that year. Wow. And it was going to be a set list that was probably very similar most nights. And now you go to a weekend. Look, there's always going to be Chips Ahoy. There's always going to be Hood Rat. There's always going to be Killer Parties. There's always going to be Stations. There's always going to be Constructive Summer. There's 8 to 10 songs that are always going to be in the set list. But as Craig points out, there's 24 to 25 songs every night. So the other 15 we don't know.
Was that a conscious band decision, like as a group, or was that predicated based on you doing these residencies and you're like, we just got to figure out how to switch it up? So now you got to learn 80 songs as opposed to, like you were saying, 35 to kind of get through, because you'll play Sequestered in Memphis every show, or you'll have horns a given night and change it up. But there's some deep cuts you guys pull. I mean, I remember being there when you guys pulled out $40 for the first time, and like, I watched Men Cry. Gasper might have been one of them. It was crazy. One of them. So
yeah, he did cry.
I mean, that was immediate. It was just like, okay, because like we're going to see a lot of the same faces every night, and we got to do something special. We got to keep them on their toes. We got to make them happy. So yeah, I mean, that was just another positive about doing the residencies is it made you look at it, just reframed everything. So it made you. We changed the way we did things, and it changed the way we make the sets, changed the way we think about what's something, what about the Ballad of the Midnight Hauler, stuff like that. And now we're way more up to speed now, obviously, like just we've been doing them so long, but it's just like, if there's one really obscure one, just like, everybody get it in your earbuds and know it by the time we hit sound check, and we do it in sound check,
But that's a concept I think a lot of people don't understand, is that there are so many songs, and it's like if you're not playing them every night, you don't necessarily have them memorized the same way. So it's like, you kind of got to go relearn the song.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've been learning songs for 42 years now. And they all live in there somewhere, but the hard drive gets kind of fragmented.
Yeah, Steve, do you ever get lost? Like, are you ever been on stage mid-song and you're like, I don't know what song we're in? Did you ever get lost mid-song ever?
I'm a genius musician. I never make any mistakes.
Well played, Steve.
Yeah.
We knew that. We were asking for the other guys, yeah.
If we have to ask, then we didn't know anyway, so you're ahead of the game.
I'll definitely. I spaced out the other night. I can't remember what I was thinking about, but I was just like, oh, fuck. But I quickly got back to this.
So we did collect a handful of fan questions, if you don't mind me asking them. I got about 4 or 5 of them.
Fire away.
It depends on the fan.
Well, I did collect the names, so I will tell you who they are.
If it was from Howard Roberts, we are not.
No, we have nothing from Howard.
We need to check if they've bought the 3-day pass consistently for the last 5 years, and then they get a free question. If not, then they got to buy in.
Yeah.
All right. So Fur from Minnesota wants to know, how do you decide what a set list looks like for a one-off show, like a state fair or a yacht club festival?
Well, Craig makes a set list, but typically a one-off show is going to be shorter oftentimes. And festival, you just kind of drill the hits.
Right. So there's going to be the standards. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just like a fucking power hour, you know what I mean? So there won't be as much variance, but we also try to throw, something odd and fun in there.
Gotcha.
To kind of take that one step further, before a weekend, Craig sends out, a template for what he's thinking for the weekend. And within that are usually the surprises that the songs that maybe haven't shown up for a while. And there's a thread on it, and the guys usually respond like, "Oh yeah, Big Sig, we haven't played that in ages. Let's go." Or, there have been a number of times. Steve is usually the one "Hey, I've been thinking about this song. What about throwing that in?" And then that snowballs into something else. So, or that song gets thrown into the blender, and they rehearse it and get going. So that's kind of how it all comes together. I mean,
Yeah.
so
I mean, we have like you said, we have set lists well in advance of the shows. So, I mean, what I do, and I would imagine anybody else, except maybe for Tad, is I just go through and be like, what are the problem spots for me here? Like I don't want to get caught with my pants down. And so what do I need to kind of look at? And I'll do that prior to showing up.
Cool.
You guys tried to do your own festival, the Positive Jam in Upstate. Do you plan to bring that back? Was that like a one-off learning experience where you kind of felt like the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, and you'd rather just play someone else's festival? I'm just curious. In the end, now looking back on that, how you viewed it, because festivals are hard, especially when you're the person putting them on. There's a lot of moving parts that go into it. It's not an easy thing, and I think most people don't realize how hard it is to have a successful festival.
No, I think we enjoyed the experience. We didn't walk into it thinking, "Oh, this is going to be a waterfall of financial reward." We walked into it being like, "It's the Hold Steady is 20 a year. We got to do something special." And we had a blast. It turned out to be a very good day, a very good festival. We didn't lose money. We didn't make money, but we didn't have a bad experience. We learned a lot. Like, we put it up too late. We probably had it in a great site with great partners, but that didn't mean it was great for all Hold Steady fans to get to, or the ones who would really have loved to be there. It wasn't necessarily easy. There were other little things. Like we had in 2020, we had announced a weekend of Nashville and Atlanta. And part of the trick was we were going to have a bus to take people from Nashville to Atlanta to make it easier. And then COVID killed that. Mm-hmm. And we had done pretty well selling advanced bus tickets. And so we were like, oh, let's do that for the festival. Let's have a bus that comes from the city. And we put that up, and that didn't sell well. And we were like, what? Like, how did that not come to be? So there were little things like that we learned from. I'm not going to say we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're plotting something for next year and Boys and Girls 20 that will have some elements of the Positive Jam Festival.
Interesting. Cool. All right.
There's your breaking news.
Nice. I like it.
I like it.
Thank you. There's your breaking news.
That's it.
So I got a guitar techie question, and up front, I'm ignorant about guitar techie stuff, but I'm just going to ask the question as asked. So there was a debut of a Telecaster on Party Pit from Saturday night in Philadelphia. Mason from Orlando wanted to know, because I guess you don't play the Telecaster. I think he said that was a favorite guitar, but you don't play it as often. So he just wanted to know about that.
Okay. Well, let's see. There's a couple of things to that. One, on that particular instance, I just looked at the encore and I was like, I can play this guitar for all four of these songs, no problem. Because there's certain guitars that I'll use. Well, all right, first of all, it just works better for me to have the Gibson 345 because it's bigger sounding. It's just sort of lopsided. I really tried to bring a standard regular Telecaster with these. I guess y'all can't see that here on Radio Land podcast land. Anyway, but I tried. I really tried to do it because I thought it would be cool, but it wasn't giving me what I needed for certain things. Now the Telecaster that I played the other night is a Tele Deluxe, made in 1973, just like I was made in 1973. Right. But it has wide range humbuckers, and they're it's a Tele in shape only. Really, it's a very different guitar. But it had Party Pit been in the set, not the encore, and I likely would have just played it on the 345. So there wasn't any specific reason. It was just that brown Tele has just been kind of sitting in my studio and not getting a lot of use. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just throw it out on the road with the Hold Steady, and it'll because I now have more songs that have different capo things. So I was like, well, I can have an additional guitar, so I don't have to move the capo around on one guitar. So if you play guitar, that hopefully likely makes sense. If you don't, I'm speaking Martian.
We wanted a technical answer, and we got one. So
Yeah. And Mason asked me that the other night.
It does bring a question up too, though, because of the way you guys travel. Like, do you just have a road rig that lives on the road, or do you like bring guitars from home, or do you like, hey, I want my 345 at my house because I'm going to be home for 3 months and I'll just fly with it? Like, how does moving some of your gear and like stuff that people kind of take for granted happen? Is it just you leave it there and I have one at home, or do you bring it with you back and forth?
Well, for me, first of all, I have a lot of guitars. But the 345 is just my dedicated whole steady guitar. It lives in the locker in Brooklyn. And then when we go play somewhere, Rocket Cargo picks it up with a bunch of our other stuff. And then we rent backline. We rent drums. We rent amplifiers. We rent, that's about it really, right, Dave?
Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
I mean, it's just the really big stuff we rent.
But not this past weekend.
That's right, because this past weekend, because we were close to New York, we got to take all of our gear.
Gotcha.
So, like, I get to play through my amps like once or twice a year. And the rest is it was really nice. But
I mean, that's why Tad had the double neck, right? Because we could bring it down.
Yeah, exactly.
Double neck, so.
And the funny thing too was that I was traveling with a guitar. And then, so I had gotten the 345 recently in 2020, and I was like, I'll take that to London, and then it'll go from London, it'll go to Minneapolis for the First Avenue 50th anniversary. Well, that didn't happen, and so the guitar I didn't mean, because people talk about Tad and I both play 345s, and what's the deal behind that? It was just a guitar that I was trying out, and I didn't mean for it to be the fly guitar, but there it was. It just got stuck, and I just sort of stayed with it.
Right.
And it's a lot nicer not to have to check a guitar every time I come up for shows.
Yeah.
Tommy from DCS, another guitar question. This might be more for Tad, but I'm going to ask it anyway. He says there's a red Telecaster with a kind of spray paint graffiti thing on the back, and it's usually on Tad's side. He's never seen it used. Do you know anything about that guitar?
That is made in Japan, custom Telecaster. So it's like a remake of his early 60s custom Telecaster that has binding on it. Tad put a P90 in the middle pickup. He put a Bigsby on it. I think he lit it on fire. And then scraped it a bunch and maybe drug it behind his truck. And then he did some stencil work on it, but it's just, I think we used it in the studio recently, and but it's just just a fun guitar. But I wouldn't expect to see it much use on stage.
Got it.
I'm sure Tad brought that guitar expecting, I'm sure in his mind he's like, oh, I'm going to break that out and I'm going to play it, and then he probably just walks he thinks about it, and then he no, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
It looks really cool on stage. That's all that matters, right? It looks cool up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because now you guys have these residencies set in these markets, and I know Craig always says from the stage, we're always open for business. How do you find the new markets? What if Albuquerque wants to hold steady, and is it all just data driven because where the people are? But I imagine at some point, because you don't tour traditionally, there's probably some areas where it's man, we haven't been to Memphis in 10 years or whatever. And maybe that's a bad example because I know people live around Memphis, but I'm just trying to say, how do those other markets sort of come into play?
Part of it goes back historically where the band did well. It's also looking to see where, our mailing list, where people live. It's looking where people have bought tickets from. To be totally frank, west of the Mississippi has always been a harder sell for the band. But yet within that, Denver's been great to us. Seattle's been pretty good when we've gone back and done the weekends there. The toughest markets always for the band have been the Southeast. And I think a lot of artists would say that. Yeah. And it's very funny. We send out an email like, hey, here's the next show. And invariably somebody from Florida will say, come to Florida. And it's like, I'd love it to be able to do a weekend in Florida. Maybe we'd get people to fly there if we picked the right place. But I'll be brutally honest. The venues in Florida aren't up on the same level as a lot of the places that we play multi-night shows.
Right.
And, if we misfire on one of these weekends, that's going to be a big hole. And it's not to say that people in Florida don't deserve the band, but I think we kind of make a nice trade-off here of like, we create a great environment if you're able to get up here, because I understand it's an investment for you to get on a plane and come to Chicago, but it's an investment for us to put 10 people on a bus and try to do multiple shows,
right,
or to go to Florida where the economics aren't the same as Philadelphia. They're just not.
Right.
And so, and again, I go back to what I said at the beginning. The business of rock and roll is not very rock and roll. It is not the easy thing that it looks like in books and movies and TV shows about the music business.
Right.
Just so we can do a reboot of VH1's Making the Band or whatever it was called.
Behind the music, yeah.
What was it?
Behind the music?
Yeah, Behind the Music, yeah.
That's what
the one where they had the band.
Making the Band.
Oh, yeah.
It was on tour and everything.
Sebastian Bach was singing and Scott Ian was playing guitar, right? And Jason Baum was drumming?
There was another one with an indie rock band.
Bands on the Run.
Bands on the Run.
Bands on the Run. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I remember David Cross. And then I just realized I fucking hate Harlow.
There you go. Exactly.
It's funny you bring up VH1 because videos these days are such a thing of the past, really, because what are you doing with them aside from putting them on YouTube? Do you find that that's still an important thing? I know the last couple have been live that you've captured from various things. Do you see yourself going back to that as a resource? Because, content is king and everybody's always trying to create new visuals for bands. Or are you at a point where it's just like, we'll just kind of run our way through it and those days are, for the younger folks?
I think somebody would have to come up with a really interesting idea. It would have to fit economically into something, or they'd have to put up the money or find somebody else to put up the money. It's, for rock bands, they're hard to monetize on YouTube unless you're constantly feeding that stream. We don't, that's just not our brand. And, I think if Craig were on here, he would tell you he can't stand making videos and never has, even back to the Chips Ahoy days and such. Never a fun thing. I don't think it's
it's not.
The fact of the matter is, you probably shouldn't have been making videos 20 years ago because MTV wasn't playing videos then.
Yeah. Well, and even like with G streams, that's when they ceased to become videos and they were visualizers.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is, and so all it was just, we did have to hire somebody, but they just made some art that went over the song, because we couldn't be thought to do anything.
Live is where it's at. We've talked about, do we shoot a live show? And it's like, that's where you get to, okay, well, but does it translate and to what's going on in the room? The music video is such a, it's such a dinosaur on so many levels. But to this generation, well, of course, we discovered lots of things because of music videos. We watched 120 minutes waiting to see if the new Sonic Youth video was going to get shown or whatever. So, if somebody had a great idea, sure, we'd always look at it.
You just open your inbox to a bunch of videos that you don't want. There go. Dave Gottlieb's email address is going to be all over the positive
inbox.
I got an idea for the
great idea. You better have the way it's going to get paid for too. Because I'm not saying that the whole steady's going to pay for it.
Right.
So.
Everything is so driven towards short form content. It's like, I mean, it's more about making a fucking reel or whatever.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's just where you get your social media person to, crank something out.
And look, it's very funny. I managed the estate of Luther Vandross, and the biggest song in America and potentially the world so far in 2025 is Kendrick Lamar's Luther, which samples Luther Vandross. And when that originally came up, there was profanity in the song. And we have a red line with anything with Luther Vandross is there's no profanity. No profanity, no N-word. Why? Because Luther wouldn't do it.
Right.
Luther would have never done that. And I say that because the version of Luther by Kendrick Lamar that you can hear on the radio is clean. They went, and because the song got so big, they were like, we have to go make a video now. And they went and made a video, and the song for the video is twice as long as the song that's on the album. But there's still no profanity. There's still no N-word. But the record company was like, we got to do something. And, one of the things that got back to me was the Kendrick team did it and was so excited because it was a clean version. That's why the song blew up, because it could get on the radio. Otherwise, Kendrick Lamar is not getting on the radio.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And because of that, all these fans came along and they were like, well, now we got to make a video for it. Mm-hmm. And that had to be so
interesting.
I'm not
and
saying
if y'all hadn't seen that documentary, you need to watch it. It's really good.
Thank you.
Cool.
But my point is, what I'm getting to is there has to be a point to make a video.
Right.
Kendrick Lamar had a point to make a video.
Yeah.
We do not.
Although I do think a live concert video for the diehards would be all about it, especially because of how popular the Bandcamp live releases are. I mean, every time they come out and it hits my inbox, I know I'm buying it. I know we talk about it on the podcast all the time. Like, this live one came out, you weren't there, and I respect that you guys do that, because again, I'm not saying there's a lot of warts ever that from what I hear, but I'm sure somewhere you're like, that might not have been on the best show, but we're going to put it out, and that's pretty. That speaks a lot to the band and the musicianship in the band, that they're just like, we're going without a net. Everything's overdubbed and plugged in, and people don't want to realize that live is not live. Like, even you listen to your favorite thing on Sirius, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we heard this live from this festival. Well, maybe once it was, but I guarantee you, if you hear the playback, if it was bad the first time, it's not bad the second time.
Yeah. Look, the live streams that we've done from Brooklyn Bowl, those have been very successful, and we've been very happy to do those for the fans. And the feedback was always great about how great they looked and how great they sounded. Unfortunately, the company that did them isn't around anymore. Mm-hmm. We can still do it, but we were talking about it last year, but because it was a new company that had taken it over, it wasn't the same parameters. And I was like, well, no, because it worked well this way. I don't want to change it to work well for you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It needs to work well for my audience. And so, yeah. But I'm not opposed to it. It's just got to be the right fit always.
I mean, the Humping Turtles were born on a live stream. So
Can't make that up.
And you guys did a great, you can't make that up, but it's true. And I remember seeing that as it happened. I was like, that's Turtles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to watch like the realization ripple across the stage, and then across the people's faces. It's almost worth the fucking pandemic. I don't know.
Oh, man.
All right, this might be a great point to segue into this year's Massive Night. So this is going to be the 10th anniversary officially of Massive Nights?
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes.
And so obviously going to be the week after Thanksgiving. That's the dates it always is. What could you tell us about what's coming?
Everybody knows the last couple of years we've done a little bit different thing on the first night, trying to create a first night theme. In 2023, it was the podcast event, live interview with Shapiro. Pete Shapiro runs the Brooklyn Bowl, owns the Brooklyn Bowl. Last year, what did we do the first night? Did we do the pub quiz the first night last year?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah, we did the pub quiz. And that was the first time we'd done the pub quiz in New York. This year, we are going to bring the low volume Storytellers show to New York and
Awesome.
do that on the Wednesday.
Awesome.
So, because it is the 20th anniversary of Sep Sunday, we will be doing a Sep Sunday play on Thursday.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
And we'll probably have some surprises for Friday and Saturday. We're still working on those.
Awesome.
We'll do the sound check as usual on Friday. I don't think we won't be doing a kids thing like we did last year with the book. But those are the two big things that we're definitely doing this year. And we're going to have some for the known 75 people who have been to every Massive Nights. We are going to offer up a few special things, and then some other special things for everybody else.
Awesome.
So it might be merch. It might be merch related to the shirt you're wearing, Gaspar.
Cool.
But the Brooklyn Bowl and I have been discussing things for literally since last year, like ideas of what can we do to celebrate this in a good way. So.
Awesome.
Will the pub quiz be back?
The pub quiz will be back.
Awesome.
Yes.
Will Martin be coming in for the pub quiz this year?
Martin always offers, so I don't. It all depends on his schedule. But when I saw him in Minneapolis, he was like, "I'm coming back for New York," and I was like, "Okay."
Awesome.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Now, is the pub quiz results, is it still a band tie? Has somebody stepped out, or is it a 5-way tie? Did I miss a win? Because I think the last time we talked, right, wasn't everybody had one win?
Well, Franz won this weekend, yeah.
Yeah, that's a multiple for Franz.
Okay, so Franz got it
First
this weekend.
two-time belt holder, yeah.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
And for anyone who hasn't been to the Storyteller shows, like definitely try to make this year, because they are great shows. It's such a different vibe, and I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Steve, do you like playing these Storyteller shows? Like, is it different for you to play that kind of vibe?
I do like it. We're still really kind of massaging this format. So it's been a little bumpy here and there, but we feel like we just get better with each one. For me, I very much do like it because I'm one of the Finn does his solo thing, but I'm one of the few people in the band that when I get home, I just play gigs, with other people or my little band that I have, and it's all kinds of different stuff. So it's really nice to bring some variety into the whole study and sort of, look at it a different way. And it just plays more to some things that I don't get to do with the whole study sometimes.
Gotcha.
I really enjoy it. But it's like I said, there's been a learning curve. So it's getting, each one is more enjoyable than the last, not that they've been bad, but it's just it's a learning curve. It's using a different muscle. And, I think it's a little different from the audience too. And I will honestly say one reason that, we discussed doing this is each year that goes by, I get more requests to do shows at seated venues. Because
I was going to say,
the same way that 10 years ago,
I'm a big fan.
In the same way 10 years ago, people couldn't handle, a Wednesday night because they couldn't afford to have the extra 3 or 4 drinks. It's, people want to sit. They can't be up front or in the middle, standing there with their fist in the air.
So do you see the Wednesday night show being seated? Because that's interesting. That'll be a first.
The Wednesday night show will be seated at the Brooklyn Bowl.
Wow.
Kevin is so excited.
I'll buy 3 seats just to have the room next
so
to
you can
me too.
spread out.
Just so I can spread out. Because
I'll be seated.
Literally signing off on the seating chart today.
That's amazing.
Hey, Steve, while you bring up the stuff you're doing outside of the Hold Steady, anything new on the mem mods? Will there be a follow-up record? Or
we joke about it every now and again. I don't know. I think that might have been a magical pandemic time, because we all got back to work, literally it was a function of nobody had anything to do, so it was keeping us sane. I will tell you, I don't think we will, but if we do, I am not going to press up 500 vinyl copies.
Well, my copy is still in heavy rotation, if that counts.
Okay, good. Yeah. There was
It's easier to make vinyl now, Steve.
I know, but it's also easier to feel humbled when Red Eye's like, so we're going to send you all these records back now. And then I got to go make room in my storage space. But we still talk almost every day because we were, we got on Marco Polo in 2020. And so, yeah.
I mean, speaking of new music, is there any, I mean, I know you played 3 new songs. Are you guys getting ready to go into a studio? Is that not for a couple of months? Is that something you guys have figured out, talked about? I imagine, I heard rumored that 26 will be a record, but we're
working on stuff. To give you a colloquialism from my part of the country, we're fixing to get ready.
It's a step in a long process.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, you guys are giving us a lot of scoop today, so I'm just going to keep fishing for as many hooks as we can get.
Well, and also we kind of just with those last 3, it was kind of bam, 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 So we're just we're reassessing things.
All right, They were great, and we look forward to whatever it is coming.
Yeah, 10th record. What do you do for your 10th record?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That is a good point.
All right, we've kept you a long time, so I don't want to keep you any further. But Kat from Vermont didn't really have a question, but said she just wanted to say she wanted to express her gratitude for the hard work that you both put into all of these experiences for us, and we want to echo that because it really is truly awesome. But thank you so much for spending this time with us. This is great.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything we missed that you wanted to get out, that you want us to put out in terms of massive nights, in terms of upcoming shows, in terms of, I mean, we'll send people to the band's website, et cetera. But if there's something you want us to make sure is out there on the record, let us know.
So there's 2 things there's 2 things I want to say. One is we're going to be introducing something by the time this airs, it may be out there with a company called Chorus, which is basically a fan club extended experience. And what it's going to be is people will have the option to join, and a number of things from the archives are going to become available. And you'll also get access to future things we're doing, whether it's a weekend. It'll give you another step up on being able to order the tickets or the experiences in advance. And the reason we're doing it, one of the centerpieces of doing this is, as a manager, I am fed up with ticketing platforms and the way ticketing companies charge the fans, especially in relation to our weekends. It is offensive to me that if you go buy a 3-day pass and add on the merch bundle and add on the pub quiz and add on the sound check, that you get charged individual transaction fees for those add-ons. It makes no sense to me. Nobody can explain why one transaction online suddenly creates additional fees. If you go buy shoes online from On, I don't get charged by ordering 4 pairs of shoes. I just get charged the price.
Right.
I don't get $5 added to that. This past weekend was an example of that in Philadelphia, in that Ticketmaster had a hosting fee for the add-ons that we, the band, ate, because I felt it was ridiculous that somebody is buying a ticket to the sound check, and they were going to get charged an extra $4 on top of the existing transaction fee because they have to host it. And again, the reason is, if they want to come explain it to me and show me the business of it, fine. Let's have that discussion. But to just arbitrarily come up with numbers, it's bothersome. So we're going to be creating a fan portal, if you want to call it, where we are going to be minimizing those fees as much as possible, because we're going to take it into the hold steady. I'm not saying there's not going to be no fees, but it's not going to be as egregious and mercenary as the ticketing platforms are.
Cool.
And it's why we moved the Minnesota merch bundle just to be, you pre-order it through us, because the Access ticketing platform was going to charge fans $10 to order the merch bundle.
Right.
Wow.
And to me, fuck you. fuck you.
No.
I know you're a business and you need to make money too, but you're already making money on one transaction. Why do you get to make money on multiple transactions?
Right.
And especially because I'm sure you have so many diehards that buy all 5 things, and if they're gonna put $4 per, like that adds up quick. And
Right.
you know, the fans don't care because we want to be with the band, but you know, I got to say, as a guy who is on the other side of it, I appreciate you fighting that fight, because it's a constant thing. You hear about it all the time, the ticketing fees and whatever, and you know, dynamic pricing and all this craziness that goes on behind the scenes that people aren't aware of, and that artists can control. And it's a credit to you and the Hold Steady for actually trying to fight that. So if a fan club type of situation helps alleviate that,
It will. And if you look at since we've begun the residency model, and I know this came up in the Soundcheck event a few weeks ago, or the other day, about a show in England and how much it costs to get in. If you were to look at what our ticket prices are since we started doing the residency model, we haven't moved the ticket price very much.
Right.
It has pretty much stayed the same. In Brooklyn, it's moved a little. And when I say a little, I think of year one, it was $45 or $40, and now it's $55.
Right.
In 10 years, it went up $15. That's not much. When we get into places that aren't New York or London, we pretty much have settled on $35 or $40. We don't go much higher than that. And you know, you're getting 2 hours on stage of the Hold Steady. That's
Right.
a pretty good deal. So I appreciate you guys saying that, but that there is reasoning behind us doing it, and it isn't to line our pockets so that Steve Selvidge can go buy another telly. It's truly so that it's truly recognizing that the fans travel, and every little bit that we can affect, we want to affect. And
Awesome.
if it means you're not paying an extra $25 in fees, great. That means you can go have a nice dinner with other Hold Steady fans at the brew pub next door or whatever. So.
Awesome.
And the second thing I just wanted to say is, been doing this a long time. Working with the Hold Steady is unique, both from the music side and working with 6 great human beings, but the audience side is tremendous. It's like to have the fans' unending enthusiasm and appreciation, but also the fans' ability to really become friends with each other. And, you know, some people might say it's a cult, but I don't think it's a cult. And, you know, I always say to people, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. I saw what the Grateful Dead did, but I couldn't stand the Grateful Dead. That music was anathema to us. But knowing what they did in the community they created, and the walking down the street, one deadhead to another, they have a secret handshake. I think it's pretty cool that we've pretty much done that with the Hold Steady, and it's a testament to the people who pay the money and come into the room to see the band. So
yeah, and we talk about it, you know, and it's like, but we really, really mean it when we say it. Just it's like it's just mind blowing to me sometimes, like, you know, and because I have friends that are in other bands, and like, you know, I might be hanging around and they don't, you know, it's just, and just to see like somebody all with their bracelets on, and knowing that like 2 years ago, these 2 people had no idea the other one existed, you know, like, right. And now they're just doing, you know, all the things. We don't take it for granted, and we're very lucky.
It's like this podcast we've met just through the band. Like now Brooklyn Bull, I sleep in Gasper's basement in Queens, and Minnesota, he slept in my basement, and and we didn't know each other before that. So
and now it's been 3-4 years.
You know, and when Steve says we do talk about it, we talk about when somebody isn't there, that is normally there. We notice when somebody isn't there, and I'm not just talking about Howard from Leeds. I'm talking about like we notice if Anna isn't in London. We notice if there's a great New York fan named Greg. I notice if he's not around. And it's not because people are asking me for things. It's because I'm like, oh wait, what happened? Why?
Yeah,
and
we know the faces. Yeah, the lines are very blurred these days, and there's the core. I mean, there's obviously somebody in the back that's like, oh, Sequestered to Memphis, I know this one, or a handful of songs, a casual fan.
Right.
But what's really interesting to me, like even from an anthropological standpoint, like it's like there's this core, and it kind of morphs and changes over time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's people that that were always there, always up front, and then some sort of and then but they get replaced by by other people. Then and then eventually it's like a whole nother new crew,
Right.
It's fascinating.
Well, and I think that comes from the band, and we'll let you guys go because you've really given us a lot of time, but that starts with you guys, because I say all the time, and I see a lot of bands, I watch a lot of shows, and pound for pound, Hold Steady is probably the most consistent live band that you could catch. So if you're a casual fan and you're going to know you're going to get to see Sequestered in Memphis or Chips Ahoy and then kind of get to go on that roller coaster, that's really what won me in, because Gasper was the fan first and then just dragged me along. And I get bummed if I can't make all 4 nights because of work, but I can appreciate those fans that are there with the confetti and the ones that are crying for $40. And you know what? Not every band has that. And, most would kill to get it.
I mean, we're like I said, we're very lucky, and it's not taken for granted.
It probably sounds weird coming from, the insider part that an artist manager is, but because of this community, there have been occasions where something has come up relating to the Hold Steady or a member of the Hold Steady. And there's somebody on the fan side that we can call and say, we need help with something. And you're one of those people, Gaspar, and Allison in Cleveland is one of those people. And if I took the time, I could come up with a dozen fans who I've reached out to, said, hey, we got an issue. Can you help us? And they're there for us. And that doesn't, I work with plenty of bands, and that doesn't exist with everybody. It just doesn't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and two, I remember, I totally spaced and forgot what I was going to say, but when you talk about, the access that we give or whatever, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to no one's going to spend their entire day with somebody, but in terms of the access, I'm just like, dude, I'm really lucky to be doing this at all. And if you're a reasonable and friendly person, then fucking yeah, let's hang out. I love to talk, man. Whatever. I mean, I got to go call home and do all that, but yeah, I mean, it's just it's not like I'm okay, got to get the fans access.
No, it's true. But Steve, it's a very good point. And Kevin, you can probably understand this. I've been doing this for over 35 years, and I worked at record labels for 15 years, and there was nothing worse than being the guy that walked into the dressing room and said, okay, guys, it's time for the meet and greet. It's time for the petting zoo. Yeah. I called it that the other day to somebody who's been in the business a while, and they're like, I've never heard that comment. It's like, well, that's what it is. But that's not what it is between the Hold Steady and their fans. It isn't a petting zoo. It isn't. Right. It isn't a chore. I don't. When it's 5 minutes before sound check, all I have to say to the guys is it's 5 minutes. I don't get a groan. I don't get rolled eyes. The other day in Philly, everybody was downstairs ready to walk into the pub quiz. It was not like dragging them to this event.
Right.
Everybody was gonna have fun. So, and it's unique because it's very easy for the artist to get separated from their fans and vice versa. So.
That's very true.
Well, we'd just like to say we appreciate it. We didn't even mention this, but we're recording this on Monday after the Philadelphia weekend. So I don't know, is it like coming off the NBA playoffs for you guys, or are you getting more used to it? How many days does it take you to recover after a weekend show?
This is pretty low impact. I mean, at least for me, I mean, it was like direct flights, you know. I mean, and also like we did the Minnesota shows. I was home for a day, and then I flew to Miami for rehearsals and getting on that boat. So I was gone for 2 weeks. So this was just like beep beep, you know. But you know, I mean, re-entry is re-entry, whatever.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
for this.
thank you so much for doing this. This is great. We really do appreciate you.
Sure.
Receptors, body limitations, weak handshakes, great expectations, wonderful chemicals, beautiful kitchens, so many choices, decisions. Said a couple of things that probably weren't technically true.
All right, guys, that was an awesome time with Steve and Dave. I thought they were great. We got a really interesting interview out of them and some great information. I mean, we Massive Nights is going on sale, and this new fan club sounds awesome. And
I mean, the great thing about what they're doing is it's clear that everything they do as a brand is with the fan base in mind. And to me, it doesn't feel anything more than just a true way to bring the band and the fans closer together. And really, that's what we all try and do. We love our favorite bands. We see them from afar. And I feel like Lanyards is a cool opportunity for fans to kind of get closer, and also for them to offset some costs and be able to, you know, maybe cut out Ticketmaster. And like, you know, it's the big bear in the room. Like it, you know, it's very fan focused, forward thinking on a band that's been doing this for over 20 years. And you know what? They're not just going to go with the flow. They're trying to do new things. And I think that's impressive.
not only that, I mean, like, Hold Steady have always been very forward thinking in how they do their business, and it's always worked out in the past, man. I think you got to put your faith in what direction they're going in, because they've always done a great job.
And $100 a year, I mean, I know for some people that's a lot of money, but when you break down Starbucks prices and coffee, and like when you think of stuff that you probably waste money on a month, like $10, it's not even $10 a month. It's like it's $7. I don't know. My math is off. It's whatever it is. It's a cup of coffee a month.
For a year, it's about $8 a month if you do the year subscription. And
right.
When you get into what you're getting for that, it pays for itself. I mean, well, listen, we have a little more information about Lanyards, and we actually have an announcement of our own to make. So, Kev, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
I felt like I owed our listeners. So if you're still with us at this point, then this is for you, because if you didn't tune out after the Freddie Knuckles, this is the podcast way of apologizing and saying thank you. So we're giving away a free annual membership to Lanyards, another way to stay connected to everything that makes being a Hold Steady fan so special. It's full of great perks, early access to tickets and events like Massive Nights 10, lower ticketing fees, sound check, and happy hour invites. First listens to live recordings, vintage merch, and exclusive archival content. Annual members also get a limited edition Lanyards t-shirt. Sign up now and you'll unlock the full audio from the Separation Sunday 20th Anniversary show, rare footage like the first ever live performance of Stuck Between Stations, and more. So we're going to give you a free membership. Here's the shot. And how you're going to get a chance to win the membership is you have to leave us a speak pipe. I know for all of you that have listened to the show this many times, you know Speak Pipe is the only thing that makes Mike happy as a human. So I want him to be happy. So I am doing this with Mike in mind. So please, if you want the free membership to Lanyards, and this is my way to apologize for all of the bad Freddie Knuckles that you have to listen to when it comes to Gasper's intro, then here you go. Leave us a speak pipe. Tell us who you are. Tell us that you want to win the free thing to Lanyards, and tell them that you're sorry. No, I got it better. Just the line to say is, Gasper, get better at Freddie Knuckles. Signed, whatever the listener's name is. And then we're going to take all those speak pipe people, put you in a hat, and we'll pick the winner. And maybe we'll play those speak pipes, because I'll just like to listen to those responses.
I love that.
I like it. The only thing I have to add to that is when you leave your speak pipe, please make sure to leave your email address. We're going to need that. And Mike, why don't you tell them how to leave a speak pipe?
I'm glad this came up in the conversation so organically here, guys. Yeah,
I'm going to leave a link in the show notes, and you just click on the link, and it's basically like leaving a voicemail. You click on the link, you speak into it for 90 seconds. If 90 seconds isn't long enough, then leave a second or third voicemail, and we'll hear your glorious voice, because this podcast does not work. This podcast is about the voices of the unified scene, so we got to hear your voices, guys. So send those in.
And honestly, you won't need 90 seconds, because literally saying, Gasper, get better at Freddie Knuckles, signed Joe Smith at gmail.com. That's 7 seconds. That's 7 seconds out of your day, and you're going to win $100 subscription.
Right. And so we're going to make sure to put that link up on our social media as well. We'll be doing some promotion around this contest, but we'd love to have your entries. So please enter.
And we have to send thanks to Dave Gottlieb for giving us and okaying this so that we could share this with you, and so I could apologize for all of the episodes you've had to sit through Freddie Knuckles. But that's going to do it for us. I mean, I think this has been a pretty full show. I hope everybody's enjoyed it as much as I have. I mean, talking to Dave and Steve was awesome. It really was. It's probably a high point for the show after all these episodes. I mean, we've had some great episodes, some great guests, but getting into the nuts and bolts of what makes the Hold Steady work has really been a high point, I think, for us as a show. And we couldn't do it without you, the listeners. So we appreciate it. And if you like what we do, give us a like, give us a follow, call the speak pipe. The phrase one more time, Gasper, get better at Freddie Knuckles. That's the phrase. Just leave that on the speak pipe, and we will be back next month to play all that for you. But Gasper, why don't you tell them how to find us on social media?
Yeah, so if you're looking for us on social media, or if you're looking for anything Hood Rat Recap related, the best jumping off point is always our link tree, which is linktr.ee/the Hood Rat Recap. Or you can go to our website, which is just www.thehoodratrecap.com. You can check us out there, and please make sure you enter the contest. So that's going to wrap it up for us. I'm Gasper. That's Mike. That's Kevin. That was Dave Gottlieb from Death or Glory and Steve Selvidge from The Hold Steady. And special shout out to Brendan for helping us out as well. And us guys, and all you guys and gals, we are all the Hood Rat Recap.
Killer party's almost killed.
Guys, and all you guys and gals, we are all the Hood Rat Recap.
I like the dramatic pause. That was a great dramatic pause.
I thought he died. I
almost said The Hold Steady.
He forgot the name of our own show.
I think there was a tear coming out. He had to wipe the tear away. He was getting so dramatic with it.
God. And we were all the Hold Steady. No, we're not. No, we're not.
That was like William
Shatner. Here we thought we were going to have our flood for the end.
That was like William Shatner. He's like, let's go to ramming speed. Or shall we?